Um, so Dina and Molly Ann, did you both read the book?
I did.
Yes, but quite a while ago.
Right. Yeah, I remember you telling me about it. Okay, so let me start by just, reading you a quick, I don't know, biography or just a little background about Ayelet Gundar Goshen. It really isn't different from the one I read 2 years ago when I talked about Waking Lions, because there doesn't seem to be a new blurb about her. So here we go. So Ayelet Gundar Goshen was born in Israel in 1982. After completing an MA in psychology at Tel Aviv University, she studied film and screenwriting at the Sam Spiegel Film School in Jerusalem. Gundar Goshen has written a number of screenplays and has produced short films which were screened at film festivals in Israel and abroad. She has also written and co-written a number of TV series. And I still have the same information from 2 years ago, so I don't know if it was ever completed, but it says her second novel, Waking Lions, is being adapted for a TV series in the US, and I'm not sure it ever was completed. Gundar Goshen has been awarded second prize at the IEM Ed European Short Story Competition, 2010, the Gottlieb Screenplay Prize, 2010, the Berlin Today Award, the Sapir Prize for Debut Fiction, which is a prestigious Israeli award, and a couple other awards. I don't, feel like I need to list them all. Waking Lions is included in New York Times 100 Notable Books of 2017, which is a book we had talked about a couple years ago. It was a wonderful book, and this is the book she has since completed. I think what is most important to keep in mind as we talk about the book is that she is a clinical psychologist. She is a practicing psychologist. And that is what I think inspires and informs a lot of her writing. So before we talk about some of the themes, and I talk a little more about Gundar Goshen and what she has to say about this book and what inspired her to write it. I just have a couple questions, and whether, if you read the book, great, you can help answer it. And if you haven't, this will give you a little background. So in the book, there is a young girl named Nofar. And Nofar is, her name means water blossom. So I think she was named with the expectation that at some point in her life, she would blossom into this lovely, engaging young woman. And that really hasn't happened. Nofar is pretty, she's smart, she's nice, but she's very unexceptional, and she's overshadowed by a younger sister. And she feels so ordinary and unnoticed that it just makes her even more so. And she's just very withdrawn and shy and quiet. Well, she works in an ice cream shop, and one day, a young man, I don't know how young he is anymore, 20s, 30s, who used to be, for a brief moment, had been a singing star. He had won the Israeli version of, what is it, the singing show, where the amateur team.
The Voice?
What?
The Voice?
The Voice, the talent show.
American Idol?
American Idol. That would catapult you to fame. Oh my gosh. Okay. So he had won that, but his star has since sunk. And he walks into the ice cream shop. He is feeling pretty crappy. And he asked Nofar for an ice cream cone. First of all, Nofar had been in the bathroom, in the ladies' room, so he had been left standing there for a few minutes. So he's already irritable. She comes in, he asks for an ice cream cone. She corrects his grammar, and he just launches into a, Molly-Ann, can you admit Betty Ross?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. He just launches into this tirade, calls her moonface, calls her terrible things. And then he accuses her of taking his money and not giving change. And so she runs into the alley. He runs into the alley. He grabs her arm and she starts screaming. She starts screaming and screaming and screaming. And she can't stop. She is just so beside herself, so insulted, so feeling at the bottom of things. Everyone comes running. The assumption is that this man has tried to rape her, and she does not deny it. So the book is about, so he is in jail. She is, by not denying this, she is perpetuating this lie. And in the book, there are a lot of liars. Liars who somehow help Nofar, and there are liars who lie for their own purposes. So, a couple questions. How many liars, just think for a moment and see what you can remember, but how many liars do you remember in the book? There are a lot of liars.
It seemed to me that the only ones that weren't liars were the two fathers.
Were who?
The two fathers.
The fathers.
Interesting. Yeah.
Seemed like everybody else had lied at some point.
You're right. You're right. So we're talking about her boyfriend. We're talking about her mother,
Sister.
her sister. Yeah. What do I have? Oh, there's something about Nofar's grandfather, who, in one of the wars, maybe it was the '73 war or the War for Independence, he and his fellow officer were supposed to charge into, gunfire, and Elkanah, the grandfather, said retreat, but the friend looked at him aghast and yelled out, "Forward!" And everyone went forward, and Elkanah got the credit and never denied it. So
And
he was a liar.
Wasn't he so proud, and he always wore his uniform? I read this quite a while ago, but I seem to remember that he liked to show off in his uniform and medals.
Yes, he does. He does. And his wish, his dying wish was, do not, whatever you do not bury me near this guy who had been his friend, but who had actually called for the charge, which made Elkanah the hero.
Would you remind me what the sister's lie was?
So Dina, what was it? Go ahead.
Well, it wasn't so much out and out lies. It was this code of silence.
Yeah.
After she found the book, and she didn't say anything for a while. But I had some problems with the sister anyway, beyond the lying.
So some of the lies were really lies of omission.
Yeah.
As opposed to flat out lies.
Right from the very beginning.
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. She, the author doesn't waste time. Yeah.
And what about the older woman?
Yeah, the Rosamund.
Right.
Who became Rivka.
Right, Raymond.
Raymond, yeah.
Who ended up, she was so attached and close to Rivka, this Holocaust survivor. She, when Rivka died, I I think first she told herself she was keeping the memory alive, but essentially she assimilated Rivka's identity. And then she impersonated her.
But then when she tried to tell the man that she fell in love with, he lied and said, you know, I don't remember or I forget or whatever. So as I said, I think of the two fathers were about the only people in the book. And maybe Dorit, but I'm not sure about her.
She's troubling, Dorit.
Yeah.
She's given a lot of
No,
hints.
if you remember, she's the policewoman.
Oh, thank you.
Right. I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you. Yes, she's the policewoman. She's given a lot of hints. And she knows she should follow up on some of them, but she gives up. She doesn't want to push against the system, I guess. Yeah. And so I guess another question that I want to talk about or ask you about is, were there some lies that bothered you more than others? Did all of the lies bother you? Did some of them think, oh, well, okay? How'd you
I
feel
think
about so far? Yeah.
I think all of them were troublesome.
Yeah, I can't think of any, I can't really think of any lie that I would pass on.
Okay. So one of the things I did to prepare for this, I read a few reviews, and there's one that I thought was especially interesting, and I'll read some parts of it later. But there was a I don't know, what is it, a YouTube video of a talk that the author gave. I believe it was University of California, but it was on this book, The Liar. And it was really fascinating to hear her talk about it. So this book, and as really all of her books, they're always based on some factual event that is the trigger for her exploration. So there was a case in Israel where a young girl or young woman had accused someone of rape, and it was sensationalized. And I believe eventually it turned out to be false. But this is what Ayelet Gundar Goshen seized on, and because she was fascinated by the idea of lying and the lies that we tell. And so she was interested in exploring lies. And as a psychologist, one of the things she did was she talked to some of her clients or patients and said, is there a lie that you've told me? And a lot of them were saying, well, really, I think most of what I've told you is a lie, because I really don't want to look at who I am or really admit who I am. And so that was a real eye-opener for her. And she went into the Bible and she said, well, okay, so where's the first lie? And the first lie is really the first time Adam speaks to God. And he's eaten from the tree of knowledge. And God says, well, why are you hiding, Adam? And Adam says, oh, well, I'm naked, I'm embarrassed. Which is really a lie. He knows that he has violated the one commandment he's been given. So really the premise became, or the so Gundar Goshen researched this, and she said her research showed her that or indicated that every day we all tell a lie. Most of them are little white lies, okay? So they're, they're relatively harmless to the extent that lying is harmless and okay. And we lie also for a variety of reasons as well. Now, in Waking Lions, I felt that the lies were really the underlying need to lie was really based on like self-preservation. You would lose everything if you did not lie, and which sort of gets to that in The Liar. But did you have a sense of what the lies and Lavie's lie to his father, where he's leading him on to believe that Lavie is interested in the military because his father was a great renowned soldier, fighter, tough guy, that he's interested in the military, that he's training. So no Far, who her lie results in her all of a sudden getting all this attention and all of a sudden developing a certain amount of self-esteem and a glow. So people start to look at her. She's not this little faded flower who disappears into the wallpaper, but she really begins to glow. So what was your sense of what the purpose of these lies were that Gundar Goshen is exploring? Do you have a sense of that?
I think Lavie's wasn't exactly self-preservation.
Yeah, right.
I can see where you could look at it that way, but it was to gain his father's respect.
Yes.
But also don't forget that he was fulfilling Nofar's statement that she said at the end of the program. The last thing she said was, when they were just about to stop, was that her friend, what was his name, Maimon, had helped her, and that he was going into the army. She said that on television.
Right.
So now he's stuck in, what does he do with that lie?
Yes. So
That's interesting, Dina, because it wasn't his lie at first. So another question could be, how do we deal with other people's lies?
So Molly and I agree, and let's see where that goes. I agree with you. The lies in Waking Lions don't, at least initially, they're not about self-preservation. They are about creating a self that makes you feel good, creating an identity for yourself that makes you feel good about yourself. It's an opportunity to reinvent yourself. It's an opportunity to create new relationships. It's an opportunity to get recognition. So I think that is where it begins. But then, where does it go? You've got to perpetuate the lie, or it's going to take you down. So Molly Ann, what were you, maybe you lost your train of thought, but I didn't mean to interrupt you. Where were your thoughts going with where these lies take you?
Well, just with, there were two things. Lavie, I felt so badly for him with the expectations that his father had of him. I wanted to, shake his father by the shoulders. But what do we do when someone else lies about us? I hadn't thought about that before you before Dina reminded me that it was her. She compounded the lie by publicizing it. I don't know. Do you call someone out for lying? Do you know that number one can ruin relationships? It can also have other ramifications based on what the lie is. And I don't know. I think you have. Are you being brave if you call someone out for lying? Or are you being, honest? Are you being maybe even, no, resentful isn't the word I'm looking for, but, are you gloating in his downfall if that's what happens after you publicize his lie? I think it's a quandary if you know that someone is lying. What if you're working for someone and you become aware that he's dishonest? Or what if you're working for someone's campaign and find out, or what if you've signed a non-disclosure contract and then find out that there are lies involved? I think that her books so much make us think about our moral choices.
I didn't read the book, but I have listening. If you contradict, want to come out and tell the truth, who is the public going to believe? You, the liar? How do you take back the words? I always think of the story, where the woman lied and the rabbi tells her to take the feathers and throw them up. Now take them back. It's hard to take back. It's hard to take back your words, and who's going to be believed?
Other thing is that if her statement is pointed out as a lie, then what about the rest of what she said?
Yeah, once
all a lie, was only that last part a lie.
And are you ever trusted again? Excuse me. Excuse me.
Yeah. So she does recant at the end, and it's not as cataclysmic as, we were led to believe. I mean, it didn't make the front page of the paper, and she lost some friends, and I'm sure the rest of her senior year was hell. And it probably, followed her into the Army, but I got the sense that, the universe did not fall apart for her. And I think we do feel when there is a lie of magnitude, somehow our universe is going to crumble. So the mother was a problematic character. Why did she support Nofar's lie? She told her, she realized that the journal that Nofar had doctored up so it would no longer appear that she had fabricated this whole story. The mother realized what Nofar had done, and Nofar, and there are times when Nofar goes to look for advice. She goes to Raymond, and Raymond says, you have to go tell the truth, but she has just learned that Raymond is living a lie. So, she says, you can't tell me. And she looks to her mother, but her mother doesn't seem to know what's going on. And then when her mother does know what's going on, and Nofar is on a rooftop ready to burn this journal, the mother comes out, and Nofar is looking for, okay, get me out of this. Give me guidance. And the mother says, burn it. And the mother has also, lied going into a psychologist's office to sort of help her figure out what to do. Why does the mother lie? And any thoughts about that?
Maybe to fulfill the prophecy of the name she gave her. Maybe she knew that her daughter was, not well liked, and that she understood that this was putting her daughter in the limelight in a much more favorable light. And we all want our children to be happy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, was she protecting her? Did she feel she was protecting? Well, I don't know. I guess she was protecting her daughter. It was better to protect her this way than to have her confess the truth. I
And
guess.
yet at the same time, she had intended to take the daughter to the police station the next morning.
Mm-hmm. She had, and then she, we know what we should do, but apparently the ties and the feelings and our own self-esteem and our love for our family is far stronger. Seems to be much stronger.
The question becomes, if Nofar, if she had not caught Nofar trying to destroy the notebook, would she have gone through with going to the police station? Would the mother have destroyed the notebook? Or was this just that she was supporting Nofar when Nofar made the decision?
Well, Nafar did throw down the matches. She was ready. She thought, okay, it's time to come down. I'm going to have to tell it like it is. And the mother
I
said,
don't remember, did she do that before or after she saw the mother?
throw down the matches. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if she threw them down, but she saw the mother. She, at that point, either just before or upon seeing her, she had given up the thought of burning the notebook. But the mother did say, pick up the matches and burn it. So where would that be? I know I have some page numbers. So another interesting thing in the book is Nofar is looking for guidance. And when Avishai tries to commit suicide, whether he really was or wasn't trying, is not really what's most important. She felt, he almost killed himself. She wants to confess, and Levi says no. She wants support from the people she trusts and she loves to tell her what to do. And Levi, Raymond Rivka, the imposter Holocaust survivor, her mother, all really tell her not to. They all say not to.
Can I go back? I found the spot in the book.
Yes, please.
Oh, blah, 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 blah. Nofar stood close to the water tank and looked down. There were people everywhere, and no one in the building across from her had the slightest idea that there was a girl on the roof holding a lighter in one hand and a notebook in the other. Here in the darkness, no one would see the fire, and if there were no notebook, her mother wouldn't have anything to show Detective Dorit tomorrow. There'd be no hard evidence, as they called it on TV. She put the notebook down on the roof. She flicked on the lighter. Reddish light flickered on her fingertips as she moved the flame toward the pages, and in that reddish light, she suddenly saw her mother's face. The lighter dropped out of her hand. Nofar didn't dare pick it up. Despite the darkness, she felt her mother's eyes fasten on the bound pages, and she cringed. Her mother knew what was written in that notebook. Her mother knew what she had done. In a moment, she would come over and grab it, maybe even slap her. She definitely looked capable of it, and Nofa knew she deserved it. But her mother didn't move. She stood where she was and looked at her. In some ways, that was worse than a slap. If her mother didn't take the notebook now, she would give it up herself. To remain standing there facing that expression was more than she could bear. She began to walk forward when her mother suddenly said in a voice that in no way resembled her normal tone, "Pick it up."
Right. And
She dropped the match when she saw the mother. And that's when she thought, well, okay, maybe this isn't such a good idea. And then the mother supported the burning.
right, right.
Margie, I want to go back to something you said a minute ago.
Yeah.
I think the guidance she was looking for that you mentioned, I think, excuse me, I think that she was looking for people to tell her to come to out herself. But she was a kid and she wasn't willing to, or she wasn't strong enough to do it without the support of these people. Not only without their support, but with them pushing her to perpetuate the lie.
Yes. And what's especially troubling is that these are the people she trusts. These are the adults in the room. These are the people who you look up to for guidance, for those life lessons and beliefs that are going to get you through life. So what so that's a big problem. If our role models are not modeling honesty and are not teaching us or guiding us to be honest, that does not bode well. And I think you can enlarge this to the whole political much larger landscapes here. And we're looking at a societies and countries where we have terrible role models who lie to us, who cheat, who have people who help them perpetuate it, who will not come to the table. And I mean, I don't care what your political orientation is. In Israel, in the United States, all over the world, this is a big problem. So do you remember why Nofar finally confesses? What causes her to confess?
The boyfriend threatens her.
Yeah. Yeah. Why? Did you get a sense of why? Yeah, he says, if you don't, I will. Why does he feel it's time?
I think he recognizes that it's just eating her up inside.
And I think it's eating up their relationship too. I think it's really impacting their relationship, and Nofar is becoming guilty and lost, and again, I think most of the lies are self-preservation, and I think Levi, he cares about her, but he also cares about their relationship, and it's a self-preservation thing. I think, I maybe you think differently, as opposed to this is the right thing to do. Anyone have an opinion on that one?
I don't remember it clearly, but didn't he hold the relationship over her head and he wouldn't kiss her anyway? more if she admitted to the lie.
He was trying to get back into the relationship that got broken when he took the picture of Maya and then had that on his phone. So the relationship was broken. He's working on getting it back. The relationship started with his blackmail, and now so he's turned back to that blackmail to restart, I guess, or reinvigorate the relationship.
So the two of them at this point are so caught up in a tangle of lies. And I mean, but it has certainly benefited them both. I mean, Levi now has his father's respect, even though it's built on completely false premises. Nofar has received, all this wonderful attention, although now she is feeling so, it's really starting to take its toll on her, because there is no moral center in her world. I mean, her mother has lied for her, and this guy can go to jail, and she knows there's something wrong, but no one's helping her do the right thing. And so this is definitely affecting their relationship. She doesn't, she stops seeing Levi and answering his texts. She doesn't know what to do. And I don't know if he just, so he is trying to preserve their relationship. It's sort of I thought it was an uncharacteristically mature thing for him to do, but he did it. But how does the book end? Do you remember how the book ends? So their relationship continues. Oh, this is very interesting. So at the end, so they finally start having sex at the end. I'm not really sure if he had the power to blackmail her and could pretty much have anything he wanted. He waited so long, but he did. And at the end, they agreed that she would keep lying to him. She had a new story in her arsenal every time. This is the last page, about what happened on the beach, about what happened to her on the bus, about what she told her mom. The more complex her lies became, the more he loved her. He admired the attention she gave to the small details, the way she guided the story to its glorious end. How beautiful she was when she spoke with shining eyes about the things that existed only in her mind. Write them down, he told her. You have to write them down. I've never seen anyone make up things like you do. But who should I write for, she asked. And he, with the arrogance that comes with his age, said, for me. And what should I write about, she asked. And he, with the bliss that comes with youth, said, about us. But we're not interesting. Write about them. Only we will know it's about us. So it goes back to the idea that the lies we tell, we use to create stories that will give us the self we would like to be. Not really sure where she's. Yeah, and all right. So before I keep talking here, what are some other thoughts people had or want to talk about, or questions they have?
And not reading the book, I have a question. What happened to the young man who was accused?
Well, she does take back her her accusation, so he's released. So
But again, if somebody didn't read her taking back, and someone just remembers the first headline that they read about him, you know, his reputation has been tarnished for life.
Yeah.
Does he disappear in the book, or does he?
It's not dealt with. It's, so what happens is, in 2 pages, she recants. It's on the 4th page. There's a new war. It's, everyone forgets about it. So, it is mentioned that, her her friend, now shuns her, as do the other kids in the school. But it really doesn't go into what happens to the victim, really, to the victim of her lies. We don't find out. We just find out that the world doesn't really fall apart for her. It seems pretty traumatic to confess that you were lying all this time, but everyone moves on.
Her lies about, I forget the singer's name, caused him to make some changes in his life for the better. Not that justifies lying, but I think he became a better person because of it. Working with those autistic children and
Yes, right, because his lawyer said do some community service. It's going to help you when you go to trial. But hopefully, we don't really know, but hopefully it has made him less obnoxious, sensitized him, and he'll do good things. Yeah.
Can we talk for a minute about the, I don't remember if he was homeless or just a beggar in the town square?
the supposed deaf mute.
Oh, well, yes. So he was a liar also. And when he wanted to tell the truth about something, it wasn't followed up on. Right. But he was the only witness. He actually saw that the man was innocent and she was lying. So,
Well, he was also a witness.
I'm sorry, who?
Avi.
Okay. But so in order to, there's the self-preservation, in order to bring out the fact of her lie, he would have to reveal his own. Although he did try to communicate to Dorit.
Yeah, he was interesting, and I'm not completely sure what to make of him. He certainly, I guess, had, so I believe the writer was suggesting that his, integrity was compromised by impersonating a deaf mute and then becoming a deaf mute, essentially, and then wanting to come out of it. I don't know if his purpose there was to send a message to Dorit, because I think the author wants Dorit to have good reason, or have some reason, to suspect that this is a lie, but not follow up on it. That's because I think some of the things that the writer does are kind of contrived to make things happen, to set things up. So I don't know. He really, I thought he was going to do something, something a little more, or have a bigger role. And I don't know if it was really about him or it was about Dorit and how we choose not to expose lies or not to shake things up. I'm really not sure. So what do you think the author thinks about this. I mean, so Gundar Goshen wrote this book because she really was fascinated, intrigued by lying and the number of lies we tell and why we tell lies. And I think in this book, she's showing us that one of the big reasons we tell lies is because we want to invent a better self. We want to present ourselves in a certain way, or, they get us things. What does she think the characters in her book are bad people? How critical was she of the characters?
I don't think she was critical enough of Dorit.
Okay, so Dorit could have done more.
And I think that she was not at all critical of Rosamund, or whatever her name is. I think she totally gave her a pass.
So how did you feel about her? Yeah.
I think that maybe Rosamund grew as a person as well through her experiences on the trip.
I think she grew. I think she did good things. I mean, she certainly made people cry and connected them to the experience of suffering. And this older man who was looking for a companion, I mean, he he really wanted to be with her regardless of who she was. So was she a bad person?
Well, or was she a person who did bad things? A bad thing.
Okay. I don't know. I was taken aback by what she did, but I don't know that she did the right thing by telling Nofar what she had done. I don't think Nofar was the right person to tell her story to. I mean, she knew what Nufar should do. I mean, she does say to Nufar, there's a difference between what I did and what you did. So is there a difference? I mean, are lies lies or not? And I think this is one of the things that the writer is interested in thinking about. Are all lies equal? Or is Raymond in a different category from Nofar?
I don't think all lies are equal, personally.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of liked her. I mean, I was taken aback, but I was kind of also on her side. Like I didn't want to see her completely brought down. I was really glad she told the old guy who, when she told the old guy who she was, I thought, okay, Raymond has some moral compass here. But there aren't too many moral compasses in this book. Who has one? Where is it?
And as you said, I think that's what the author was bringing to light and perhaps regretting.
So
Yeah.
I want to go back to closer to the beginning of the book when on her second visit to the police station, Nofar tries to recant and Dorit won't accept it. It's kind of like Dorit is looking for this big case, rather than, questioning Nofar. And I mean, I kind of get the background, because so many rape victims do recant because they don't want to go to court, or they don't want to be made the center of attention. But she just dismissed it immediately. And that bothered me. So is it self-preservation on Dorit's part?
Maybe self-advancement rather than preservation. Wasn't there something about her getting a promotion, or maybe it was how she was treated by the male detectives? I don't exactly remember those details. Do you want to flesh that out?
Well, I think there was an expectation. I know her boss, he just been a new baby and he was really distracted. And the time she went to him, although I don't know when she first went to him, I mean, he seemed to feel that this was a case worth pursuing, and this was a big case for her.
I got the sense that didn't happen until after the deaf mute.
Okay, yeah. All right, yeah, you could be right.
I'm sorry, after the
Deaf mute confronted her.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if this is realistically how, typical of so I don't know if, there's some kind of message or statement about Dorit, or, the complexity of cases like this when a young girl cries rape, or when a young girl screams, because she never cried rape. She never flat out said, he molested me. Everybody interpreted that. And what happened is Abishai, in custody, was very sarcastic. And he said, yeah, okay, I went and raped that fat, ugly thing. Or yeah, I molested or did something to that fat, ugly thing. Whatever obnoxious thing he said. And he was being sarcastic, but and it says in the text, you take out the sarcasm and you end up with a confession. So I think she was getting pressure to pursue the case because there had been a confession, and that did come up. I mean, I don't know if I addressed that. I think that's a good question, Dina. But yeah, it's yeah. So let me read you some of this. I just thought this was a really nice, I don't know, summary or comment on the book. So the theme of coming to know one's strengths and weaknesses through the perceptions of others is woven throughout the novel and within different characters. Instead of serving as a warning to those susceptible to invention, the narrative seems to encourage the exploration of tale-telling as a means to self-discovery. What begins as a friendship between these two wildly different women, okay, who are we talking about here? All right, Raymond and Nofar. Eventually exposes the cost of living a life built on a fantasy. The questions expand with the increasing number of lies surfacing elsewhere. For example, Nofar's hapless boyfriend pretends to apply for an elite military unit in order to gain the affection of his father, a career soldier. Okay, what unites these stories is that the lies actually bring their purveyors love and respect, otherwise missing from their lives. They momentarily overturn a system, whether within a family or within a nation, that has landed the characters at the bottom. as the weight of ethical responsibility or the sheer practical challenge of maintaining a web of interdependent lies forces the characters to reconsider their mendacity, the reader joins in the questioning. Is the value of truth an absolute? In what cases can a lie be justified? These questions affect our personal lives and are now prominent in our political culture. Gundar Goshen gives us much to consider. I thought that was an insightful summary. It doesn't, I don't think Gundar Goshen gives us real answers. You know, I think we're left thinking, well, you know, lives aren't necessarily all bad, but I'm not sure where it takes us. And you know, where does it take us in terms of what our society believes about lying, what people are teaching their children about lying, what we should expect from the people we respect and our leaders. So it's no answers in this book, which is troubling.
But what you said makes me think of the book, which became a TV series recently, Defending Jacob, and a book many years ago that was similar to it called Before and After. When our children, do we perpetuate lives for the preservation of our children? And I think that in those two books, if I remember correctly, there are different, eventually different decisions made about lying for one's children. But you know what? When my generation was being reared, we were taught to lie. Oh, say you're 11 because the price goes up when you're 12. People would make person-to-person phone calls. Our parents would tell us, okay, when you get to your destination, make a person-to-person phone call, ask for yourself, and we'll know you got there safely. So, you know, that's teaching lying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, it makes you think of how much lying is embedded in, I don't know, the fabric of our lives. I mean, you know, like when I heard the author say, everyone tells a lie every day, I started thinking, okay, what lie did I tell today? I don't know, but I guess
I think everyone on this Zoom is going to start thinking about that when we go to bed tonight and maybe tomorrow night.
Yeah, yeah. And
I think the biggest lie that people tell every day is when people say, "How are you doing?" and you say, "Oh, I'm fine." Yeah, we're not fine. Right? It's like, are you asking because you really care, or are you just being polite? You know, is it just I think that's the biggest lie we all do every day. Why bother talking about it? It's not going to do any good.
Good point.
So, how are you? I'm good. Thanks. No, not so much. I'm scared to death. That's how I am. Well, just thought I'd interject that since I didn't read the book.
No,
but I am listening.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think one of the most troubling things that the book leaves me with is, you know, not so much all the lies, but the lack of a moral center, the lack of a belief in this book that the truth is really, really important and something to insist on. And I just don't see that in this book.
So again, I didn't read the book, but listening to the subject matter, I find it interesting if it's okay for me to comment.
Go for it.
So something like lying and rape, you don't want to lie, but if you tell the truth, then there's another whole series of consequences that result from the truth that you may or may not want to be dealing with. And so you may opt to not tell the truth to protect yourself. I think you mentioned about self-preservation. So, so I wonder if there's another name, even though it's lying. I wonder if there's really another name for it, because it's another kind of degree. Are
That
all
we
lies
used to
equal?
call,
Are
we
all
used to call
lies
them,
equal? I'm wondering.
isn't that, we used
Is
to
it the
call them
white
white
lie?
lies.
You know,
But sometimes the truth can be more hurtful. Just in a little case, you went to somebody's house and they served you something and you couldn't stand the food, but you'd say, oh, it was lovely. Or, maybe give me the recipe. You never intend to make it, but if it makes her feel good, okay. It's not, sometimes,
I think somebody should write a book about the different degrees of lying. When is it okay? And
Is
50
it?
Shades of Lies.
it's an interesting topic, and I didn't have anything else to think about today, and now I'm going to be thinking about this. Thank you so much. That's a lie.
Ladies,
Isn't it interesting?
I'm listening to you. My name is Betty Ross. I live in Western Mass now. I have to say, this is a fabulous book group. And Marjorie and everybody else with their input is just incredible. You did not get off tangents on other things, personal things, whatever, like most book groups do. You really, really delved into so many aspects of the book that I'm just so impressed. I'm really wonderful to be among you and listen to this wonderful conversation that you just had.
Thank you, Betty. What chapter are you in?
Springfield, or Long Meadow, I guess.
Oh.
Yeah.
We're so glad that you joined us. Can you sign in so that we have a record of your name and email? We can keep you posted.
Oh, sure, that would be great.
Yeah, thank you. In the chat box, just sign in. That would be wonderful.
Okay, we have a book group, we get together, but, it does not go as deep as you guys have been going, and it's just so interesting. I really, really love listening to it. How should I sign in? Send it to, in the
Just
comments?
go right into the chat box. Can you find the chat box at the bottom of the screen?
I guess, no, hosted able to, okay. Okay, yep, we'll do
Yep,
it.
just put in your name and your email and the chapter that you're in.
And Betty,
Miss being together with people, but honestly, I'm so spoiled now. I just love being able to, from home, get in and get educated on so many topics in the world, through Zoom, and not have to get in my car. And it's been wonderful on that aspect of it.
I'm
Betty,
really
would you-
delighted that you joined us.
Oh, well, thank you. I got an email, and through Hadassah, and so sounded like it would be interesting. And now I want to read the book, of course.
Good.
Betty, would you share with us the names of some of the books that your book group has done?
Oh man, the list is so long, and I'm so bad with names. But I can send something to you if you'd like.
Yes, can you think of one book that you've discussed?
Yeah, the Flight Portfolio, which I actually wasn't that happy about. The Lost Family, which I enjoyed. I just have a whole list of things that I could, tell you the next time I see you, or else just email it to you. But
I'll put my email in the, we have emails, and when we signed in, we put emails. So you could choose any one of us and send a list.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we did the Lost Family. Wasn't that Jenna Blum?
Yes.
Yes, she came and spoke with us.
Right. That was wonderful. Back in the day.
Oh yeah. So yeah, it's
You
quite.
crowd 10 people on your couch.
Okay, I see March sent to. All right, I'm going to put down my email.
So can I go off on a slightly different tangent with the book?
We were just complimented for
I
not
know,
doing.
no, but it's still with the book. It's not personal. I had some issues with the way the sisters were portrayed because you got the sense that Maya was this beautiful, I don't want to say voluptuous, but shapely, outgoing girl, and that Nofar was not so shapely, not outgoing, and not necessarily as interesting or pretty, and yet they were of a size where they could share clothes. And that part just, I didn't get it. I didn't get how two people could share clothes, um, and yet present themselves so differently to the public.
Tina, that actually happened with my sister and me.
You're the pretty one.
Thank you so much. I wasn't. I used to say that I was a homely baby. My sister was an adorable toddler, but things shifted. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry this is recorded. I'm so embarrassed.
Anyhow, I just, as I said, I had this sense. I mean, you know, after the story came out, she had stores and designers sending her clothes that were more flattering for her, but they were still sharing clothes. I just,
And her sister stretched them out.
her sister stretched them or she stretched them?
No, when her sister wore them, her sister stretched them out to fit her.
So I had a sister close in age. I have a sister close in age, and she was heavier. She was heavier and a little shorter. So I mean, I couldn't, if I really needed something and she had something cute, I'd, beg her. So it was usually tops or something. I mean, maybe dresses. We couldn't share everything, but yeah, there were things that I really liked and I, asked to wear, and not quite as frequently as between Maya and Nofar, but I think sisters do that. They find things they really like and, both can wear. I mean, it might be a stretch, so to speak, but.
Okay, obviously not my life experience.
So I don't know. Anyone want to? So one of the things, I'm off topic. My father he was an engineer. He was a very truthful man, extremely. If he didn't like something, he would either not say something or say, he didn't like it. But he would not lie. And it drove my mother crazy because, we would go to someone's house, maybe as a family or relatives or whatever. And I remember one dinner, it was a cousin of my father's, and she made this roast. It was really not very good. And, my father, didn't say anything, it's good to see you. Oh, thank you for dinner. My mother said, oh, this is such a great meal. What a good dinner. Thank you so much. It was delicious. And my mother would say to my father, couldn't you say it was good? Couldn't you say you enjoyed it? He said, but I didn't. And he wouldn't insult people, but he wouldn't tell people, what he really thought.
So Margie,
Wouldn't
next
placate,
time,
right?
next time someone tells me how much they enjoyed something that I made, I'm going to have to say to
Right.
myself, is that sincere?
And I find myself actually doing some of what he does. I mean, I can be really effusive, but I can also say, well, it was good. I mean, it's not my favorite or it's not my preferred dish, but yeah, it was good. Or, I mean, I could, sometimes be a little more effusive, but I think it's a little piece of my father in me sometimes that just like, it's okay.
I know that talking about Little White Lies, that I was once advised that if someone asks you, gee, do I look good in this or something like that, and you really don't think so, instead of lying, you could say, oh, that's such an interesting color, or something like that. Make an observation, but not answer the question directly.
Correct.
So
No, my
it's,
father would, no, doesn't look good. Sorry.
I like the color on you, but to be honest, the horizontal stripes just aren't working for me. It doesn't, I mean, you can,
I-
so I was communications major, business communications major. You always start with the good before you say the bad. I mean, it depends who it is. It depends what it is. Everything, it depends. But you always say what's good. I like the color. The style is nice, but I'm not so sure the color goes with your complexion. I mean,
Judy, teachers and parents are trained that way also.
well, yeah, but I mean, like I go shopping, if I went back in the day, if I went shopping with a friend, um, and they'd say, I told them, I'm like, I like the other thing better, I mean, I'm not crazy about the belt on you or, whatever like that. And I always
But that's
did.
different. Giving them advice when they're shopping is different than if they buy it and later you see them in it and then they ask you. I think there's a difference.
That's what I'm saying. There's all of these little nuances. And there's 50 shades of lies, I mean, oh God, I've got this whole book now going on in my head, like, just what I needed is another idea. But I never thought about lies like that. And here we are. So is this considered a tangent, or is this considered reading a book? No. Is this considered reading a book, discussing the book, and then how does what we read and what we've taken from the book and applied it to our own lives? Like, why does it make it interesting when we read it? Are we subconsciously thinking to ourselves, well, that's happened to me, or how have I reacted, or how have I experienced a similar situation? It's brought a different level of reading. Other than the Jenna Bloom, I've never been to a book club before. True confessions. Because I typically read like not books that other people read, so I don't get to talk about it, but I'm finding the conversation interesting.
Judy, I think that one of the points of discussing it is relating it to our own lives. That's not a tangent at all.
Okay.
But I do have,
connection.
I have not a tangent because it relates definitely to the book, but it's something that we have not thought to discuss. If I'm not mistaken, if you look at the inside flap with the publishing information, you also see the name of the title of the book in Hebrew, because what we all read was a translation. And I believe that the title is Hashakran v'Ha'ir, which means the city, I'm sorry, the liar and the city. And so when I read it, I realized that the city seemed to be a character in the story as well. Right now, I don't remember the detailed ways in which that was, but maybe someone else can address that. How was the city a character?
That's a good question. And there are passages, I mean, certainly you have the cats, and the cats are all over Jerusalem, and there are a lot of cats in this.
Excuse me, Marjorie. Does it ever say that it's Jerusalem? I don't think so.
Oh, did I say Jerusalem? Oh, I meant in the, oh, well, in Jerusalem there are cats. Are there, I don't know, I guess I'm assuming
There
maybe
are
they're all over.
Israel, but I think it was intentional on the author's part that the city is never named. It's
Yeah,
anywhere,
yeah, I know.
anywhere. And I think that
Yeah.
the definitely being in the square and the ice cream parlor being somewhere that so many people came to, those are the only details that I remember.
I guess I was thinking Tel Aviv because I know she goes to the beach at some point. So, but yeah, and
He goes to the beach with his father as well.
Okay,
Where the father trains him.
right. And I know she does walk out in the city. There are some passages where the city, it is, seems to be personified in some way, as, listening or not listening, or, but it's a good question. I mean, offhand, I just wasn't paying attention to that. So,
Well, I found it interesting that
yeah.
the title was not translated authentically.
Yeah, that is.
They say every translation is an interpretation.
Definitely. And I know she does pick her translator. She, did talk a little bit about that in the video and or podcast, whatever. And she's particular about what changes are made. But yeah, that's always interesting. And you're right. When you translate, there are nuances which change.
They say that it's easier to be honest than it is to be a liar. Because if you're a liar, you have to have a very good memory to keep recalling and keep straight all the facts that you're telling so you can retell it exactly the same. If you're honest, it's just there and you're repeating it. So that's another reason people say it's easier to be honest than a liar.
Unless you're delusional.
It's also very hard to tell just one lie.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So what's our next book? Is this like
Beneath a Scarlet Sky? I'm going to be doing it, but we don't have a date yet. It is a lengthy book of 500 pages.
Wow.
And
But
worth it, yes. It has to do with the war taking place in Italy, especially around Milan. And the protagonist or the main character is a young man who was 17. It is a historical fiction. Okay, I'm drawing a blank on his name. And he met the man at least 2 years ago. The young boy was still alive in his 90s. The reason that it's historical fiction and not a documentary is that although the author researched for many years, he could not confirm all of the facts. because the Nazis burned so many papers when they were leaving, running out of Italy. And the Italians had a lot of amnesia when it came to relating what happened to them. So he felt, since he was also a journalist at one point in his life, that he would not make it, fact. It is historical fiction, but it was very good. I recommend it. It'll take you a while. As I said, Linda hasn't given me a date. Probably at this point, my guess might be, what do you think, Molly Ann, after Rosh Hashanah?
Okay, good, good.
I mean, it's been out there, but
We could do it before that.
maybe before.
The notice has been in What's New for,
Yeah, for a month or so. Yeah, I haven't had, I'll have to contact Linda again. I gave her, some potential dates, but she never got back to me.
yeah, I actually spoke to her early this week, and she said that I suggested that she speak to you about a date, and she said that she would be in contact with you, but you're certainly feel free to initiate that
Yeah.
discussion. What do other people think about before the holidays?
For me personally, it's a very busy time. I've got, even though we're not physically in Shul, I've still got a lot of work that I have to do on the outside. But, whatever works best for everybody else.
I mean, I would hope it's not before September. I will try to, get hold of it and read it.
Someone told me she did get it at the public library, at our library, so maybe it's been returned. Yeah, I don't know. Canton is open by reservation, I believe. Stoughton has curbside pickup. At least 2 weeks ago when I got a book there, it did. And also, I think that Sharon now is once again transferring books. So if it's in OCLN library, I believe they will get it for you.
I know the libraries weren't open when I needed to read it. A different book group read it. So I did have Sarah buy it on Amazon, and it was less than $10. So
Oh,
I don't mind buying a book, under that price, and then share it.
Would you mind mentioning the name of the book one more time?
Beneath a Scarlet Sky.
Beneath? I'm sorry?
Beneath.
Yep.
Yeah. If you give me a second, I'll go get the book, and I'll be right back.
Say the name. Oh, thank you. I just remembered some of the other names that we had read. The Girl from Berlin, The Last Watchman of Old Cairo, Gateway to the Moon, The Weight of Ink.
sounds like the list from the Rhode Island group.
The Beauty Queen of Jerusalem.
Oh, yes,
so
we did that a few years ago.
Yeah. So, all right, it's a good idea for me too, just to make the list.
Here it is. You read it?
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, here we go. Beneath a Scarlet Sky. Thank you so
Right.
much.
And the author is Mark Sullivan. He also co-wrote a lot of books with James Patterson. It is, even though it's a wartime book and there are Jews are mentioned, it's from the Italian-German point of view, really from the Italian point of view.
The part
It's different.
Betty,
sorry.
I just sent you the promo for the book with the information on it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. I also just sent you
From
the
your
current list
email.
from Hadassah book. Marjorie, I sent you the current list right now for coming up for my Hadassah group, but I'm happy to put together the list of things that we have read for you.
Okay, I will forward that. So I have to sign off because I have to take care of my mother's shopping list and, okay, it's complicated, but I have to go. But thank you, everyone. you
Thank
know, thank you for being here. And I really enjoyed what you had to say. You know, you made it interesting. So thank
Well,
you.
thank you for all your preparation. It was a great facilitation.
Good. Good.
Thank you, Margie.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Judy, also.
Everyone say
Thanks.
hello.
Thanks.
Oh, so is this going to be the conclusion? I'll
I
stop
think so.
the,
Yes.
I'll stop the
Okay, because
Looks
I
like
do need
you're
to
just-
leave.